the legendary Super Samoan, Mark Hunt, on the program. There he is, my old friend, the KFC King. How are you, Mark?
What's happening, Ariel? How are you?
Legend.
What's happening, Mermaid?
Yes, it's been a long time since I heard you call me the Mermaid. I'm doing great. I do want to let the world know as well that we're being joined by your lawyer, Christina Denning. She's also on the line via audio only. Christina, are you there?
I sure am.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. And so obviously there's some sensitive legal topics to discuss here. And, you suggested, Mark, to have Christina on because I don't believe you are a lawyer yourself. You are a tremendous fighter to maybe clear up some of those things. So I trust you're doing well, Mark. Everything good in your life over there in Australia?
Yeah, man. I think the whole world's going through this COVID stuff. It's everything's really good, to be honest. Yeah.
By the way, before we get into all the legal stuff, only one combat fight since you left the UFC, and that was against that, he was like somewhat of a celebrity. It was in a boxing match a couple years ago. Now it was 2020, so a little over a year ago, late 2020. Are you done fighting, or are you still open to fighting?
Well, I'm done fighting. I think I lost the passion a long time ago when I filed this lawsuit against the UFC. They took their passion away from me, to be honest. But the only fight I had was, since I left the UFC, was a boxing match. I couldn't get another match anywhere. I don't think any company would pick me up because of this lawsuit, to be honest.
Do you think you were blackballed because of it by some of the major promotions here in North America?
Oh, definitely. I mean, why wouldn't you hire someone as good as me?
Right.
I mean, such a good-looking guy, such a great fighter. I mean, why wouldn't you hire someone like me? But I think I got blacklisted, to be honest. I couldn't get a match anywhere.
Wow.
And the only match I got was back here at home in Sydney against Paul Gallen, who's an ex-footy player. It was actually the most fun I've had in a long, long time competing, because it was on my terms, even though I'd lost the match. It was a great. I had fun. It was like when I first started competing and fighting a long time ago. It was actually a great adrenaline rush.
Wow. And so why didn't you continue? There aren't other boxing matches to be had in Australia where you can, keep those good vibes rolling?
Well, the money wasn't, the money was great for that match, but I don't think you'd have to get someone, to pay that sort of money again, to be honest. And, it's training for camps costs a lot. And it was, like I said, it's getting a lot harder to keep training. I mean, I do a lot more time spending time with the kids. It's a lot more fun, chasing the kids around, teaching them how to ride a bike.
Right. No, I hear you on that. So
instead of chasing around some other dude in the ring,
I feel you. I've never done the chasing the dude around in the ring part, but I have done the kids part, and it's a lot of fun. I totally understand where you're coming from. So you are officially done. You will not fight again.
Well, no, I didn't have. I was organized to fight someone else. I think Spong. But I just, like I said, if I'm not going to be putting 100% in it, I'm not going to do it. I mean, I just wasn't happy. The drive for fighting was gone because of this lawsuit. It's just so annoying.
Okay. So, and by the way, have you announced that yet? I know you're no spring chicken as far as your retirement, but I have not seen you officially say that anywhere. Am I wrong?
Well, I'm not announcing because I've still got one fight left.
You do have one fight left. Where?
Yeah. And it's happening right now. It's their battle against the UFC in court.
Okay.
That's the only fight that ever mattered. That really matters, to be honest. The fight for equality against these, I'm not even going to go into a crazy. I'm just saying that the fight against the UFC to making it equal for these fighters. I mean, the fight against cheaters in the sport.
Fair enough.
That's the last fight I've got.
I totally understand where you're coming from. I want to ask Christina, because I want her to describe this in the most accurate and legal way possible. Could you tell us the status of this fight that Mark is in right now with the UFC and Brock Lesnar, Christina?
Sure. The appeal was won and the opinion came out late last year. The case is now back at the district court level and open back up. The UFC and Brock Lesnar are to file their answers to the complaint later this month. And then as of mid-late February of of this year, we will have a discovery plan in place to move forward with things like depositions to further work up the case. Right now, there are 4 causes of action alive on the complaint. Those causes of action are for battery, fraud, aiding and abetting, and civil conspiracy. So that's where we're at right now.
Now, there were some stories that came out recently, Christina, and we have the, wow, that's a great toy. I'd love to have that, Mark, on my desk, if I'm being honest.
You've got all those toys in there. Where's my toy?
I don't have a Super Samoan here. I can't believe this. What do we have
I'm
there?
gonna put all my toys in front there so we can have a battle.
I love this. This is incredible. No one's ever actually gone tit for tat with me. Oh, you've got, who's that? Vanderlei Silva? That's a Pride one. Wow, that's cool.
There you go. Let's battle it out now. You haven't even got my toy in front there.
I would love it. No one... Come on. I'm sorry. I'm going to rectify this, Mark. But I do want to ask.
Your favorite fighter here.
You are.
Of me there.
You are a legend. I had a picture of you. I have a picture of you somewhere. I should have brought it out. Anyway, we will rectify this. I promise.
Where's my one? Jeez.
You're right. Christina, there were some stories that came out last week that Mark has to pay $400,000 in legal fees. Is this accurate?
This is old news. That was a ruling by the court in connection with the motion to dismiss, which is at the underlying level before we even appealed. So the status of that is really unknown right now and up in the air. We're talking about an order from the court preceding the appellate ruling.
Okay, so and just in layman's terms, so old news meaning what? It was something that he was asked to do and doesn't have to do anymore, or did already? What do you mean by that?
Okay, it was in connection with the case when it was still at the district court level. The UFC and Brock Lesnar filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, which was granted. Okay. And that is what was appealed. In connection with the granting of that motion, the UFC filed a motion for an award of attorney's fees, which the district court did rule in favor of the UFC and ordered Mark to pay those fees. But we appealed that ruling, so I really can't say where that's going to end up, because now we're back down at the district court. And when I say that's old news, this is an order for Mark to pay those fees that's almost a year old. Understood. And so right now it's resurfacing, and I really can't comment on where that's going, but I can tell you that it's not a new order from the district court.
Mark, how do you feel about, and thank you so much for that explanation, Christina, how do you feel about where things currently stand? Are you confident that justice will prevail in your point of view? Are you confident in the current status of this lawsuit?
Well, it's kind of sad that it's got to this point, to be honest. I think 5 or 6 years later, I mean, in this whole incident, the only person that didn't do anything wrong was me. The only good thing about this lawsuit has been Christina. The only thing. Everything else has been, how should I explain it? Bullshit, to be honest. I mean, the truth here is they cheated, Lesnar cheated, and yet I'm the one sitting here and lost 6 years of the rest of my career that I could have fought a few more contracts. And people complain about me whining about it. I'm like, they've been doing this for a long, long time. They've been doing this for over 20 years. Results coming back after fights. It's just ridiculous. So if I'm the only one here that's done nothing wrong, so where's the recourse for this? This can't be the answer. Me just getting screwed, and they keep doing it to every other fighter. That's the problem. It's not just my fight. This fight is just for everyone else that's been cheated out of a position.
Do you feel...
I mean, they have guys like Jeff Davinsky in there working for the UFC now. The golden rat or snitch or whatever he was, and he's the one that caught Lance Armstrong. Now he's working for those idiots. I mean, it's sad because you look at the fighters, but I feel that people are starting to realize now. They're starting to realize and see that what's happening and what's been happening for a long, long time is this company is just a bunch of crooks.
Do you feel like you are getting support from the MMA community, from fellow fighters? Because you say you are not just fighting for yourself here, you're fighting for the others. Do you feel like you are getting support, or do you feel like
I can't tell fighters to come and join the cause because they've all got bills and mortgages to pay, because I understand the situation. You know, it's not up to them to just give up and say, oh man, I want to come to this cause. The power that all the fighters have is it can't be beaten. If all the fighters got together and said, I don't want to fight for this company anymore, there's no UFC. I've seen this many years ago. This company thinks it's got all the power at the moment, and that's what it's leading to these fighters to believe. But if these fighters realize that they have all the power, and they just, all of them just say, no, I want 50-50 pay-per-views, I want the Ali Act, and I want all these things, and things will change in an instant. Because without these fighters, there's no UFC. And that idiot Dana talking about, oh, hey, we built this company. Yeah, you built UFC. The sport you've stolen from. You're stolen from the sport from all the fighters. That's the difference. It would have been another company that brought MMA up to where it is, because it is the ultimate in fighting combat. The problem is they built the UFC up, but they were stolen from the sport.
Christina, I'm not a legal expert. This fight that Mark is obviously talking about is 2016. It's July of 2016, UFC 200, his fight versus Brock Lesnar. So we're approaching, in the summertime, it'll be 6 years. And this process has been going on for about 5 years. Is this common? Like, was this expected when you took on this case that it would drag on for this long, or is this uncommon in terms of length?
We can never anticipate whether or not there's going to be an appeal. And I can't really comment on whether or not COVID affected the timing of the decision coming out. I can say that the argument on the appeal was had in October of 2020, and the ruling came out, just a few months ago. So it took about a year to get this opinion. I can't say whether that's typical or not, but it is typical for things to drag out if there is an appeal.
Okay.
So I would expect to see, a few years down the road, not being out of the ordinary.
Okay. And for Mark, it makes me sad. It honestly hurts me in the heart to hear you say that, like, this took your love of the sport away. And I can understand why that would be. And so, like, living with this now for almost 6 years on your shoulders and feeling this way about it, fired up, you're a jovial guy, you're a happy-go-lucky guy. Do you feel like it has affected your way of life?
Of course, man. I have to. It's crazy because it's given me anxiety. A lot of things. I came from a troubled background, and fighting was my only outlet. Fighting is what saved Mark Hunt from being another criminal in jail, because that's why I started. But fighting saved me to be a better person in life. But yet I come to the top end of my sport, and yet I have to see this. Now it's another fight, and it's the only fight that really matters to me. They're honest. Every other fight against another man is meaningless. I mean, they fight for a title that's worthless. They fight for a title that has zero prestige at all. They're fighting for a title that's, oh, hey, I need more money. I'm the world champion, like Nagano, and he's asking for more money. It's the whole lot of them. It's just a joke. The UFC is actual joke, and it's taken 10 years I've competed in that company. And then, realizing at the end of it, like, man, all this was for what? I could have spent my time chasing my kids around with a normal job.
Now, someone might say...
a normal job like everyone else.
During that time, you did make money, though, right? I feel like someone would retort.
Of course, but the thing is, making money and doing it, I've made a lot of mistakes, but so hasn't everyone else. But the thing is did they pay the right amounts of money that they're supposed to pay? No, they didn't. Did they cheat people along the way? Yes, they did. So why am I the only one that's sitting here after what's happened with this Lesnar case, years and years later, trying to fight this battle when these guys are in the wrong clearly?
By the way, I know about this story that you're telling about, your backstory, because I should have mentioned this. Look, I have it right here. Born to Fight by Mark. I see it's right here. I do have your presence.
Oh, you have got something.
Yes.
Wow, that's great.
See, I just remembered. And it's a signed copy as well. Highly recommend this book. Obviously, it doesn't go into all this stuff, but great. I mean, what a life you have lived, Mark. And so at this juncture, Mark, are you also involved? I'm not sure if you can comment. This class action lawsuit that's ongoing as well against UFC. Are you a part of that as well, or are you just focused on this?
I'm a part of the class action lawsuit as well. a few of the guys that asked me to join there a long time ago, I wasn't going to, but it's a fight for equality also. It's a fight for proper pay. I mean, like what the top end boxer gets, like, Joseph Parker, Tyson Fury, Anthony, all these top end boxers, when Canelo, when they make it to the top, they split half of the revenue automatically. Whereas a UFC fighter has to say, oh, can I get $1 of the pay-per-view? Can I get 50 cents? Can I get a blowjob like Mike Tyson says? I lost all my money. I mean, it's just, this stuff really annoys me because it's taken my life, my fighting career. And I felt that as I was competing in there, as I was competing in the UFC, I just lost all love and interest because what is the purpose of this?
Are you able to even watch fights now, or does that feeling preclude you from doing that?
I support all the guys that I've helped train with. That's helped me train to get to where I was. I've tried my best to help all of those guys, but I don't like watching UFC or fighting in general because it's just because I know what it's like at the top. I know what they're fighting for, which is nothing. The UFC fighters, I mean, they're fighting for nothing. I'm the world champion of what? Explain to me what you're the world champion of.
Of the UFC,
if you're the world champion of boxing, there's reality. You've made it to the top. You don't have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about nothing. There's the goal reached, Mount Everest. But with UFC, when you make it to the top, what do you get? Look at the champions. Don't look what I'm saying. Look at the champions of the sport. What do they got? They're sitting there complaining about money. You're the world champion of nothing.
There's always that talk every so often, Mark, as you know, fighters coming together, unionizing, associations, getting the fair share of the pie, revenue sharing, all this stuff. And just last week, we found out the pay-per-view price is going up in America to now $74.99. But it doesn't seem like anything else goes up as far as what the fighters are concerned, less sponsors and things. They had their best year ever. Do you ever foresee a time where the fighters will come together and have a collective voice to try and raise what they are making?
I mean, I can't speak on behalf of every other fighter. I can only speak on my experiences, what I've been through, and I know right now, for instance, if every one of those fighters in UFC just said, I don't want to fight for this company anymore, and just told their management or told the UFC, you know what, I'm not going to fight for you. You better change shit. Things will change in an instance. And in 1 second, things will change because without those fighters, there's no shows. All those TV deals that the UFC have made on the backs of these fighters, Dana White, the Parasite, and Lorenzo and Frank Petita have stolen from these people, from their families for years. And they're still doing it. So it really pisses me off and upsets me because that's why I'm in a lawsuit. That's why I'm suing them. I hope the justice system isn't corrupt like the UFC. That's all I hope.
Are you surprised that the fighters haven't been more vocal about this, haven't talked about it, about coming to, about
Well, I mean, they say don't bite the hand that feeds you, but
yeah,
you're going to have enough of that? You're going to take what's given to you like a slave? You're going to sit there and say, oh, I'll take that, I'll take this. No, I won't. I won't sit at the back of the bus. I won't. I'll go and do something about it. It happened to me 3 or 4 times, and I said, I'm sick of this happening to me. Nothing's going to be done about it, so I'm going to do something about it. If you're not going to support me, UFC, and do something about these cheaters, then I'll do something about it. The problem is they're all in cahoots together. Vince McMahon, Dana White, Brock Lesnar, they all made this deal so they can sell their company. That's the problem. They're all corrupt.
There's an interesting young fellow, and I think you know of him because I saw you retweet him, named Jake Paul, who's been talking a lot about fighter pay. What do you make of what Jake has been saying and the light that he has been shining as of late on some of these issues that you are talking about?
The thing with Jake Paul, I support most of the things he said. Like, I don't know where he got all his information from, especially with not being in the company, but a lot of it I support. A lot of it is true. The part about him hammering Dana about the coke and the bitches and the prostitutes, I don't know, because I don't know Dana on that level. But I do support him, what he's talking about with...
Yeah, I'm talking about the fighter pay, not the personal stuff.
Okay, I think I support him 100% because at the end of the day, I came through that. I understand what it's like there because you have to fight for why was I getting more than a lot of the champions? Because I keep saying I need more money. So I feel it's true. I mean, that's why the other guys are fighting for the Ali Act to be coming to MMA. So to make like boxing.
Did you know, Mark, that whole thing about the USADA exemption that Brock got, that I think we only kind of found out about afterwards or maybe leading up to the fight. Did you know about that they were waiving that rule for him?
To be honest, before fights, people always talk shit. And I'm always going to say, like, I'm going to beat this guy's ass. I think he's on this. I'm always talking shit about it to try and pump the fight up. But, I was actually worried about that guy because when I actually met him in person and on stage, I was like, damn, this nigga's massive. He's huge. And I've fought some big guys, but, as a heavyweight, it doesn't really amaze me how big someone is. But when I stood next to Lesnar, Brock, I'm like, damn. I even said that to Dana. But then when I realized, when I said to them, when I messaged them after, I said, are you guys testing this guy? He said, yes, of course. And then they give him that exemption. I'm like, what? Why is this? Why did you give him this exemption for? Mm-hmm. People said I should have known. Well, you can know all you want. The fact is, you don't actually know unless you have proof. I mean, they were in the middle of selling that company, weren't they? So, I mean, end of the day, it's disappointing and it's disheartening. I mean, anyone that asked me for advice about fighting, and I would do something else, to be honest. Get a normal job like everyone else.
Your children are getting to the age, right, where they're probably talking about this. Have they talked to you about fighting?
Well, they're not talking about that. I'm teaching the kids how to ride bikes at the moment. My 13-year-old understands about fighting. He's seen me get into. I've taken some of my kids to the events because I wanted them to see what Dad does for a living to have food and clothe them. But it's some of those cases have been bad cases. Like I've had 11 kilos I had to lose weight for the Stipe fight, and I got pounded into oblivion. Mm-hmm. I held the best record for that fight for the most punches in the face, which isn't a good record to hold. But, my son, that scarred my son. That was on me. That was my mistake. My kids, I don't think they'll be fighting or anything like that. But especially from when they see it from my perspective, especially on not the fighting side of it, because I love competing and fighting, but the stuff that the management had, the money side, the business side of it. So that is the issue.
If your son says to you, Dad, I want to follow in your footsteps, I want to be the next Super Samoan, I want to fight, what would you say to him?
Well, I'll tell him there's only going to be one. You'll have to find your own name. And Mark, I would support him 100% and I'll try to help him as best I could. But right now, I don't think it's a good time, to be honest. I mean, everyone, back in the days, I think everyone wanted to be a part of the UFC, but I think people are realizing that's not the case now. There's not what you want to, there's not what you want to be part of that company, especially one that's cheating everyone.
Christina, can I ask you, why did you take on this case?
Well, it appealed to me. I have a thing for the underdogs. I do a lot of plaintiffs' work, and I really felt like Mark was put into a really unfair position. I was very interested in this 4-month exemption and how it was with all the circumstances surrounding the upcoming sale of the UFC, how it was that this particular WWE fighter was given this exemption, and I found it intriguing, and I believed in Mark's cause.
Are you a mixed martial arts fan or were a mixed martial arts fan?
Interestingly, no, I'm not, but I am now.
Wow, yeah, I bet you're fully entrenched. And by the way, why isn't USADA, Christina, involved in this as well? Because they are the ones that obviously had to adhere to the 4-month exemption, right?
That I really can't comment on. I hope you understand.
Okay.
So that was a decision that was made at the beginning. So I have no comment on that.
Okay. And could I also ask, has there, and again, if you can't answer, I totally understand, but have there been any attempts to settle this outside of court?
I can say, because it's part of the docket, that in the district court case, before it went to appeal, there was a mandatory settlement conference that we were required to participate in. We're not at liberty to discuss what happened during that. So the short answer would be yes, there was a settlement discussion because it was forced by the court.
Was there any sort of significant discussion had about that?
No.
Okay. Mark, I saw recently you said you're done with social media. Why?
Well, I was just, I was just getting trolled, and I was just trolling back. I just, and that's the problem, spending a lot of time on social media, because you just start hammering and biting at everyone, which is, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, and I should remember that instead of, just because they don't see it my way. That's just the way it is, and that's just the way life is, and I realize that. But I think, I can't just put shit out there and stick my hand in the head and sound like an ostrich.
You get very passionate, very heated about this stuff, and do you not like the way it?
Because this is important business. This is important stuff, man. This is such an important fight, and people don't see it that way. They see it, oh well, the guy cheated and he got this fight from USADA and then move on. But no, that's not. That can't happen. I mean, who's pulling the strings here? Is USADA part of this? What is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, aren't they a private company? Can they be bought? Who knows? I have no idea. I just know that it's just, there's got to be something else to this. You just can't get that answer. No, you have to do it this way. That's not the answer. If the guy is cheating, the guy is cheating. He needs to be fixed up and sorted out. You just can't lose on that thing. I mean, just check out other sports, man. Every other sport, they don't give them anything. They take their names, their medals, their money. Why is it so different from fighting? Why does MMA have to be the one and we all know the answer. We all know the answer. It's about those guys that own the company making all the money.
Do you think that
when is things going to change? Does people have to file lawsuits to make things change? Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were done, but I was just curious. Like, would you actually, if someone wanted to go down the fighting path, would you try to get them to go down the boxing path? Like, do you think it's actually more fair for boxers as opposed to MMA fighters, based on your experience?
Boxing is a hard road, and it's probably as corrupt. But at the end, when you get to the top and make it to be the best fighter in the world, you actually make it.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about borrowing money for camp. You make it to the status of Canelo or Alvarez, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Deontay, all the big dogs, Joseph Parker. You don't have to worry about it. You make it. Do you get the same with the MMA fighters, world champions? No. We all know that. We all know the answers. We all know the truth. And, if it takes a person like me or a person like the guys to start the Aliak lawsuit, this so be it. I mean, whether I fall on my sword like all the other guys do the same thing, at the end of the day, it's like I said before, I'm not the first to sue these people, and I won't be the last.
But for your health, your sanity, your family, there's an opportunity cost here, right? How willing or how far are you willing to take? Of course
there's a cost. The cost has been my health. The cost has been my love for the sport, the time away from my kids, chasing a cause, a bout that I thought was worthy. It's not worthy of my time or anyone's time. It's not worthy to fight for. It's not worthy of my blood. I mean, it's not worthy of anyone's blood, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, and not by me, you look at the examples. Look at the ex-fighters. Look at the ex-fighters paying for, having to GoFundMe pages to pay for injuries caused by work. Why can't the UFC pay for it? Because they're not employees. They're subcontractors. That's a bout not worth fighting for. It's not worth losing sleep or blood over, but it's come at a cost. And when I got onto this lawsuit wasn't premeditated. This lawsuit was are you guys doing something about it? No. Are you guys, the full fight, are you guys doing something about it? No. Okay, I'll do something about it. Not knowing the cost would be the ending of my career. My happiness for fighting, my love of fighting is gone, of competing. The cost of it was huge, because I ended up, my career was done. I couldn't get picked up by anyone else again. It's just, if I thought properly about this, if I premeditated this lawsuit, I would have sat down, I would have got a few more contracts, made another 10, 15, 20 million, whatever it was, and then sued the fuckers.
Mm-hmm.
You got guys in there that have got injuries from this company and they're looking after them. I wonder why, because I know they've got massive lawsuits that'll fix this company up to stop them from doing this to anyone else. I mean, Bisping's got an eye missing, right?
Mm.
Ask that guy why he hasn't sued them.
Your final days there, like I remember your last fight when you walked out, it just seemed like you wanted to be anywhere else. How uncomfortable were those? Because you did fight after that, right? I think you went up to 2018,
I fought my contract up because they couldn't get rid of me because it was under contract. They had to pay for my contract to just pay me out. And I fought my contract, but the thing was, it was disheartening. Yeah. It was, working for a company you disliked. Every time I started, I went to a sports site talking about this and asked him why I kept losing fights. And he goes, well, what's the first thing you do a fight week? You start talking and complaining about the company that you're working for. Why are you complaining about the company you're working for? Because they're a grub company. They just rip people off. They cheat people. And they goes, well, there's a start for you. The first interview you do, you start attacking the company. Then you get pissed off with them. And then you go to the fight and you said, oh, stop it. Stuff this company. You're not getting a cent of my fucking blood again. And that's the problem. That's why I think fighters shouldn't get into the position. I mean, to love what they do, they got to keep doing it. I mean, I lost love for this grubby company when I realized there was no hope for. They're teaching everyone, all the boys and girls that want to do mixed martial arts, to go and start using steroids and cheat. Because the only way you're going to get ahead in that company is cheat. The company will back you. They back Brock Lesnar. So why not do what everyone else is doing, the top guys? Let's promote steroids. Let's promote cheating. Let's all go and cheat and see who can kill someone in the octagon. This is what they're after.
One thing that I would love to see...
They certainly are promoting the guy that doesn't do the right thing.
I'd love to see a pension. Not every retired fighter, you could say, deserves it. They have one fight, two fight. But guys like you who fought for 10 years, other guys, like a retired Fighters Association or retired players, like in other leagues, you get a pension if you've put in a certain amount of time in that league. Do you think we'll ever see a day where there will be a pension for fighters like you, Mark?
Well, I hope so. I hope it gets like that one day, and I hope the Aliyah comes in to help these fighters out. I just don't know, man. These guys that started that are doing this, that are ripping people off, the parasites like Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitta, and Frank. These guys, I mean, there are millions of these guys doing it in different businesses. But the difference is, this is the fight business. This is the blood business. People get really fucked up here. Not just them, but their families and stuff. And what does the justice system do about it? When they get people like that, they fix them up. Look at Lance Armstrong. They get fixed up properly like him. He loses everything. Like I said, let's just hope the justice system sees it this way. And these guys kind of hide or keep anything hidden. These guys need to pay for what they've done. Not just to me, but there's so many other fighters that they need to look after and sort things out with. They've cheated so many people, especially with the steroids.
Before I let you...
And sorry if I'm so passionate about this.
No, I appreciate the passion.
This has been my life, and it's the only fight that matters. All my career is meaningless, to be honest. Because at the end of this rainbow here that fighting was supposed to be for me, all you see is a bunch of little crooks.
I can imagine how disheartening that is. You put in all the time and you want to kind of ride off into the sunset and not have this animosity in your heart and this feeling of being, treated unfairly. I could totally understand where you're coming from. I just wanted to ask Christina, for those following this case or curious in following this case, could you tell us what the next steps are? What should we be looking out for?
Certainly. The next step is to enter into, depositions in a discovery phase, and that should open up towards the end of February. We don't have a trial date set or anything like that. In federal court, we put together sort of a joint plan, and there'll be, dates dictating the designation of experts and depositions and things like that. But for now, it's just going into the investigatory and exploratory phase of discovery.
Could you even predict how much longer this will last?
I can't really. I'm not comfortable doing that. I mean, it's going to be at least a year.
Okay. And what is at stake here? Like, let's say you guys win. What does Mark stand to gain?
And I'm sorry, I just lost you.
Sorry.
What was the question?
What is at stake here? Let's say you guys win. What does Mark stand to gain?
Well, there are no limitations on what we can ask for. So with these causes of action come, an award of damages. There's economic damages, which is, actual damages. And then there's general damages, which is, pain and suffering and those type of more abstract damages. But these causes of action that have remained in the case also include punitive damages, which are set to punish the defendants for their acts. So I can't predict what numbers that we're talking about because they're infinite.
Fascinating. I appreciate that very much.
What could happen? What I would like to have happened from this whole scenario was a clause in the contract, in these fighters' contracts, so that stops these guys from pulling results after the events that's happened. That's what this was all about.
Because you believe
the guys
that he
were
tested,
cheating, getting punished, but
you believe they knew, right, beforehand.
This whole thing started. The whole thing started because, because there was no punishment for these guys that are cheating. I don't even think that idiot Lesnar's paid for his thing from USADA. And why does every result from the fights from USADA come back after the fights happened? Mm-hmm. There's got to be some sort of more punishment than just, here's a little slap on the wrist, or here this, or here's some money you have to pay, and then you can start back up in a year. There's got to be something more to that. 5-year ban, 10-year life ban. Get rid of you. Don't cheat. You shouldn't be here cheating. Bitch.
You bring up a great point about the results coming out after. What's the point? Two last things before I let you go. Maybe we can end on a somewhat positive note, Mark. Your guy, Bam Bam Tuivasa, looking great. You proud of him?
Yeah, Bam's, to be honest, like I said, I support all the guys that that have helped me change to where I am and get to where I am. I've tried my best to help all of them. And I see him doing well. I just, like I said, the end result I don't like. And I know where he's going. I just, I think Bam could be the best fighter in the world with dedication and hard work. That's always been the problem with him. And it's the same because it's like me. But at the end of the day, I mean, what's annoying to me is I see the end. If he makes it to the top end, he's right at the top, but if he makes it to that title shot and gets that title, what happens? Will he be in the same position as me? Will he be fighting guys that are on steroids? What's happened to all the guys that have been on steroids lately? Have you seen any more people pop from steroids lately in the last 5 years? I haven't seen, or I haven't heard anyone pop lately. I wonder why. Is it because people like me have spoken up, said something? The UFC be a bit more careful that they get no more lawsuits? What has happened here? Does it take just a little person to change something? With Bam, like I said, I think Bam could be the best fighter of the heavyweight in the world. Just hard work and dedications. But, I'll always support my Usos, whatever they're doing. I just don't like the end result. If we can change things with the Ali Act and these other lawsuits, then I'm all for it. I'll support the UFC if they start supporting the fighters, but they're not.
What would be your advice to a young fighter who's coming up now who doesn't want to maybe go down the same road or make
get a job?
Don't Tony.
Get a normal job, man. Be like everyone else. Well, until things change with the UFC, until they start looking after their fighters, pensions, health insurance, better pay. I mean, and people compare a normal job's paid to what they do for a living. It's not the same level. You're not getting beat up in front of the whole planet for an income. And to be able to compete at the highest end is different. I just feel right now with fighters, if they want to be a fighter, it's not a good idea right now. It's just not the right time. Get a job, study, do something to, or even just do whatever you want. If you want to play games all day, if you can afford to do it, or do that. Do whatever you feel. I mean, I felt I've wasted all these years of chasing. I won the world title in K1. After that, MMA was another title I was chasing to be a fighter, the champion in any MMA division. I didn't get that, whatever it was. I wasn't good enough or this and that, whatever. At the end of the day, I wasted all these years chasing that belt, the UFC belt. And at the end of the day, it was a waste of time. The bout I should have spent more time just hanging out with my kids instead of chasing a bout that was worthless. That wasn't worth my time or my love for fighting or all my blood. Wasn't worth it. 100% wasn't worth it.
I hate that you feel this way because you are a legend and you gave us so much, joy and entertainment and memories. I mean, I was talking about Acer Arena.
Mate.
When you fought Chris Tush.
Like I said, Ariel, yeah. I loved fighting. I loved it. This is what got Mark Hunt from being back in jail and being a bad person.
Right.
Fighting saved Mark Hunt from being, and it probably saved a lot more other kids found an outlet. But what's happened now is the UFC haven't looked after their fighters. They've not looked after any of them. The only person that's done well was Conor McGregor, and I think he's the only one. Everyone else, and that's because he didn't. He went over to boxing. That's probably it wasn't. Yeah, the UFC haven't looked after any fighters. I don't think the end result for all these fighters is going to be good unless things change with the law. Unless the American law system sorts these guys up for cheating people, for having corrupt systems are ripping people off. They're continuing to do this. And they've been doing this for over 20 years. I mean, and like I said, if fighters want to be a fighter, I suggest don't do it. Go get a job, go do something normal. At least you'll have security somewhere else, doing something normal. I mean, chasing something that's like this, especially a waste of time, take it from me, take it from any other fighters that have done it. The only difference, example would be McGregor. He's the only one that's made it properly without even needing UFC.
Well, I know you're off social media these days, Mark, but I did see something amazing on your social media. I've been calling you the KFC King for all these years. You got KFC sneakers, Mark? You got actual sneakers with KFC on them. I saw this on your page. How did you get these? And I mean, look at these. It wasn't mine.
I just stole them. I just stole them from someone else's page.
I thought they were given to you. I was like, this is amazing.
Hell no, yeah, but I would rock those around if I was if I had a pair. Those are pretty cool. Those are pretty dope sneakers.
They are. I mean, you anyone out there, you deserve those. Do you still eat the KFC? Do you still like it?
Well, I've been eating everything under the sun. It has been the holiday seasons, and I've been locked down because of COVID.
Yeah.
My whole family just had COVID, but we just got out of quarantine. Oh,
I'm sorry.
It's kind of a crazy time in this world, but it's also an exciting time to be alive. It's so good that I've been able to spend so much time with my children, and it takes more exercise chasing them around the park than anything else, to be honest.
You're a good man, Mark, and it's great to catch up with you after all these years. Thank you for coming on. Do you feel like you got everything off your chest? Is there anything else you want to say in closing?
I appreciate your time, Ariel Helwani, and hopefully things change. Hopefully the UFC start looking after their fighters, and fighters see this and realize if they do go down this path, hopefully they make the right decisions, and hopefully things change with these lawsuits. I hope the systems, the American system, the law system fixes things up properly so this doesn't happen again to anyone else. Thanks for your time. And also, of course, thank you to my great lawyer, Christina, for being a part of this journey. It's not over yet. And this is the last fight I'll have. And it's sad for me that it's in an area that I have no idea about.
Mm-hmm.
It's an area that's it's something else. But, you know, I wish I could battle some more, especially I feel like I could fight forever in my life. But things end and things change, and that's what happens. My time's done with fighting, and that's it. Hopefully we win this fight and change the laws for steroids and MMA, and things change. And got some idiots talking about CTE. You've got CTE, buddy.
Well, much respect to you, Mark, and I'm happy to hear that you guys are okay after the COVID stuff. It's a crazy time. Good luck to you guys. Christina, thank you very much for the time and the insight. Appreciate you greatly. And Mark, all the best to you, and you'll always have a home here. You may not be on social media, but you can come on here anytime, all right?
All right, Chad, thanks for the time, Ariel. See you, bud.
All right. Peace out. There he is.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you very much, Christina. All the best to you as well. The Super Samoan, a legend of the game, Mark Hunt.